Hi, Journey Expert. Thank you so much for tuning into this session. This is the fifth session for today. I'm excited. Thank you. Keep asking your questions under the live session comment if you're in the community. Thank you. If you're on LinkedIn, you can put your question in the comment section on LinkedIn. If you're on YouTube, you can do the same. I look forward to celebrating you all in the live. I'm sorry if I've not gotten to your name. It's also hard moving in and out of StreamYard and the community. Thank you so much for joining us, Olivia.
Thank you for having me.
Olivia is the SEO lead at Digitaloft. If you've seen SEO, if you go into Google and you type SEO for travel sites, you definitely see them topping that keyword. They know how to navigate one of the most challenging industries, which is the travel and tourism space. There are lots of big brands there already, but they still work their magic perfectly. And then they've done that by helping smaller brands outrank brands like Airbnb, TUI, and British Airways. And they think that the secret weapon every time is topical authority powered by in-house expertise. In this session, Liv will talk through case studies in getting travel brands to the top of Google's result pages. She'll share practical tips on eliciting and showcasing in-house expertise to prove experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, outranking some of the biggest travel and tourism brands in the process. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, Olivia.
Nathan, thank you for having me. Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Perfect. So thank you for joining everyone for this talk. So as Esther said, this talk is titled From Discovery to Booking, and it's all about how to get in-house expertise and how that's going to help travelers find you, trust you, and then more importantly, book with you as well. So there's a secret weapon, I think, that most travel marketers are ignoring at the moment. But there is some good news, and that is that it's free, and that most of us actually have loads of it already. And as you might have guessed from the title of this talk, that secret weapon is your internal expertise. And over the next half an hour or so, I'm going to talk you through why that internal expertise is so important, how to find it, and how to showcase it most effectively on your site. But first, a quick introduction, since I have the pleasure of your company over the next half an hour. As I was introduced, my name is Liv and I am SEO lead at Digitaloft. I've worked in all sorts of digital marketing roles, both for brands and for digital agencies as well over the last couple of years. And as my role at Digitaloft technical as SEO lead, I lead a team of technical SEOs, strategists, content writers. And while we work on businesses of all kinds of shapes and sizes at Digitaloft, one of our favorite industries to work on is definitely travel. Obviously, it's a wonderful industry. We all love to travel as well, but we see some amazing results there too. We work for international travel brands such as Booking.com and Wonder. And we also work with a lot of smaller, more local travel agents, local hotels and things like that, and businesses pretty much everywhere in between as well. And then the final fun fact about me, I will always get a picture of my cat into every presentation I ever do. I do a lot of conference talks. I go around the world speaking at conferences, and there is always a picture of Willow somewhere in one of my presentations as well. So I said that Digitaloft are real kind of experts in travel SEO, but we don't just sort of talk the talk, we walk the walk as well. So if you Google SEO for travel websites, most of the time you'll see us in position 1, sometimes position 2. We cannot be perfect, but we really do practice what we preach and we know what we're talking about when it comes to travel SEO. So that brings us back to sort of that punchline I had at the beginning, that there's a secret weapon that most travel marketers are ignoring. And that secret weapon is your internal expertise. So the expertise that you have within your teams, whether that is people on the ground at a particular destination, whether it's the founder of your business or whether it is sort of people who live and breathe that every day, that expertise is an absolute goldmine. And it's vital for helping users find you. It's vital for helping them trust you, and then also, more importantly, book with you as well. And it's also an integral part of Google's EEAT, which is something that I talk about quite a lot in a lot of my presentations. And I know there's all sorts of different people from different backgrounds coming to this talk today. So if you work in SEO, you can take a little bit of a switch off for 5 minutes, but I want to go back to some SEO basics of what is EEAT. It's a really vital part of SEO, and it's really integral to a lot of what we do at Digitaloft. And it stands for experience. So the extent to which an author or a brand has first-hand experience in the topic that they're discussing. The second E stands for expertise. So how expert are you in a subject matter? Do you have the qualifications perhaps that are needed to be speaking about a particular topic? And then we have authoritativeness, which really comes down to the reputation of a particular person, a website, or a brand as being that really reliable source of truth. And then finally, and most importantly, in Google's eyes, we have trustworthiness, which is about sort of the accuracy, honesty, and safety of a brand as well. And EEAT is a real core principle of SEO. So it's a quality signal. So it's not directly part of Google's ranking algorithm, but if it's used by human quality raters within Google's team to determine whether or not Google's ranking systems and ranking algorithms as they are doing a good job of providing helpful, relevant information to users. And back in 2023, there was a Department of Justice trial against Google, and Google confirmed in this trial that they use specifically this feedback on EEAT from its raters to train its machine learning system. So things like the helpful content system that then feed into its algorithm. And a lot of recent Google algorithm updates have focused on sifting through really unreliable, really unhelpful content. So showcasing EEAT is really, really important, particularly in that age nowadays where we've got fake news, we've got clickbait, we've got AI. Like if you're booking a holiday, how do you know that the place is real? I've seen articles about sort of AI generated Airbnb listings as well. There's a real kind of distrust among consumers at the moment. And EEAT is Google's and SEO's way of ensuring that Google is still somewhere that people can come to for reliable information. And when we talk about EEAT, it exists at 3 different layers. And this comes from Google's documentation. I've spent far too much time reading through Google's documentation over the last couple of years, and it measures it at these 3 levels. So it measures it at the content level. So how is your content verified? Is it of a high quality? Is it up to date? If you've got statistics, does it say where those statistics come from? It measures it at the author level. So who is writing your content? Who is behind your brand? Is this information available to users? Can they have a look at what sort of qualifications and experience they have? If it's a real travel expert, have they been cited anywhere else across the internet? Do they have other profiles elsewhere? And then finally, it's measured at the brand level. So what do people say about your brand? And often this is, like I say, off-page signals as well. So it's going to be places like Trustpilot, other social media sites as well. Do other websites link to your content or your expertise? Is there evidence of your brand across the internet, or are you just sort of one anonymous website that people might not be able to trust? So there's 3 distinct layers that make up EEAT, successful EEAT at least. And it's this author level that I really want to hone in on today. And that's where your internal subject matter experts come from. So I talk a lot about EEAT, which kind of begs the question of why should we care about it? If it's not part of Google's ranking algorithm, like directly at least, then why should we be putting effort into showcasing expertise, building author profiles, things like that? There's actually a lot of benefits to demonstrating this trust. It improves your brand sentiment and, of course, builds that trust, which is going to lead to increased conversion rate and revenue. If you are demonstrating these EEAT factors from an SEO point of view, you're more likely to be future-proofed from upcoming algorithm updates. You can get exposure and opportunities for your in-house experts. And of course, if you're building those off-page trust signals, like appearing in the press or reviews and roundups, you can get referral traffic this way as well. And obviously, the point of today is we are all talking about AI. I think we're talking about AI all of the time, not just today. But without strong EEAT signals, you're really unlikely to show up in AI search as well. Now, don't worry, this is a bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm not just going into ChatGPT and saying, how do I get cited by ChatGPT? That's not how our SEO strategies work. But even ChatGPT knows that authority and trustworthiness are really, really key to getting cited in AI search. There's a lot of studies that have been done. We don't know the exact ranking systems behind a lot of these LLMs, but we know there's a really strong correlation between things like the number of searches for a brand, the search volume, and how likely they are to show up in AI search as well. And I'm going to touch on the different ways that AI search interacts with that customer journey. And I know that other talks today have covered that as well. But it's really important to be showing up in AI search. And without strong EEAT, you're going to really struggle to do that. And this EEAT is becoming more and more important, particularly for travel brands as well. Now, I promise this isn't just a history lesson in SEO over the last sort of few years or so, but back in 2022, Google announced an algorithm change called the Helpful Content Update. And if you've worked in travel since then, or you've worked sort of particularly on the SEO side of things, you will know all about the Helpful Content Update. It kind of strikes fear into the hearts of a lot of travel SEOs and has done even 3 years later. So the Helpful Content system is now a part of Google's core ranking systems, and it really prioritizes content that is written by people for people. So it kind of sparks an end to an era of SEO that had been very black hat, very hacky, very much trying to write full search engines and think, okay, well, Google rewards this, so I'm going to write like this. And it's returning us back to writing for humans and providing real genuine value to users as well. Now, the Helpful Content Update hit a lot of websites hard, but it's really very much the consensus that it hit the travel industry the absolute hardest, particularly people like travel bloggers as well. I know a lot of bigger travel brands didn't get hit, but a lot of sort of smaller bloggers, even quite large bloggers, people who relied on their blogs for their income, lost a significant amount, if not all of that, during the Helpful Content Update. So here's the organic visibility, so the visibility within Google search for an online business that was based in the travel space. At its peak, so early 2022, this site was getting around 15,000 visits a day from Google. Today, it gets about 100 maximum a day. And you can see that real sharp decline throughout 2022. You see the beginning of 2022 at the launch of the Helpful Content Update, and then it really, really sort of trails off. And today, that website gets next to no traffic. This was a real sort of revenue-driving website. It's now not driving any revenue at all. And we see a lot of similar examples there's case studies all over the internet of different travel brands that have been really hit by this Helpful Content Update. And a lot of them have a couple of things in common. There's a lot of causes behind why websites got hit by the Helpful Content Update. And one of the big ones was really just sort of generic informational content that didn't demonstrate any of these EEAT factors. So a lot of the content on this website, for example, could have been written with AI. It didn't offer any real sort of unique insights compared to what else was ranking on the internet. And that's really why sites like this saw that decline. Obviously, there's a lot of websites that got hit by the Helpful Content Update, and there were a lot of factors that came into play. But it was the sites with with sort of that really generic content that saw their traffic really, really decline. But that was back in 2022. We know that in the last 3 years, search and the user journey have changed so much since then. And we know that the travel user journey is a long, fragmented one, perhaps more now than it ever has been. And this is perhaps the most simplistic version of a travel user journey you are ever going to see. But think about when you book a holiday. I've recently booked a holiday with my friend. We're going away in October. So I wanted to talk you through a little bit of how that user journey came into came into play. And as a travel brand, you're going to have touch points with your customers at most, if not all, of these different moments throughout their journey. So going back to this holiday that I have booked with my friend, it began with a real kind of research phase. And this is the genuine prompt that I typed into ChatGPT to work out where it was that we were going to go. We knew that we could only go away in October. So I went into ChatGPT. My priority was finding somewhere that would get me sunshine, because I know that the UK in October is not going to be full of sunshine. I needed something. And also talked through, I said, we love hiking, we love surfing, we're big foodies, we love a drink, we love a beach. Here's where we've been before. Could you recommend some destinations for us? So ChatGPT recommended some destinations. I did a bit of further research. I did a couple of extra prompts to narrow it down. And we worked out where it was roughly that we wanted to go. And now I know not every single person is going to be searching on ChatGPT. I often get in conversations where I'm like, okay, I need to step back and remember that I work in the tech world and I probably use ChatGPT more so than the average person. But even if you're just going into sort of a traditional Google search, you're still going to be interacting with AI. So this is perhaps the search that perhaps my mum and dad might do if they're looking to book the same holiday. And this just typed in, where is warm in Europe in October? And there's an AI overview generated. So there's real information being served on the SERPs here. And there's a list of brands down the side and where that information is being cited from. So that informational exploratory phase is really, really heavily influenced by AI search. Once we decided where it was that we wanted to go, that booking decision, the going in and actually finding the hotel that we wanted, was very much made sort of using traditional channels. We went through organic search, we Googled some cheap deals to Lanzarote, and then we went across a couple of different websites, as well also drawing on information from previous experiences with brands to work out who we'd book with. And then once we booked, it was on to planning that itinerary. I went back to my trusty ChatGPT and I said, please plan out a 5-day itinerary that includes some activities, some time for relaxing, food and drink recommendations as well. And ChatGPT did an okay job. On the surface, it looked like it gave me that real kind of balance that I asked for, but perhaps it's the skeptic in me. I knew something wasn't quite right. So I had a little look and I said, oh, Julio's tap room for craft beers. That sounds absolutely up my street. Let me have a look. Julio's tap room shut down in 2021. So we know that ChatGPT is often pulling out perhaps out-of-date sources as well. And I always want to really get a feel for where it is that I'm going to be staying and where I might be going. So I looked at one of the cocktail bars recommended. I took to Instagram to really sort of verify that it was a legit place, that it was open this time, which it thankfully is, and get a feel for what it might be like as well. So while that phase includes a lot of ChatGPT, it's supplemented by a lot of other different channels as well. And as I said, this is my genuine holiday planning experience, and I've not been on that holiday yet. So that is sort of the end of my customer journey so far. But what we know is that that user journey is more fragmented than ever. And travelers are using AI as a key part of their booking experience, whether it is like me directly going into ChatGPT or someone more like my parents who are searching on Google and now seeing things like AI overviews or AI mode as well. And as we've already said, your internal expertise is really, really vital for showing up in AI search. And I said before, we don't know the exact factors that are going to make you stand out in AI overviews, AI mode, ChatGPT, other LLMs, but we do know that there have been a lot of studies done. So here's an example of one from Ahrefs, which looked at about 75,000 brands. And the factors that really helped correlated with appearance in AI overviews were things such as how many times your brand was mentioned across the whole of the internet, how many links there were to your website that included your brand from various other sites across the internet, and also the number of people directly searching for or Googling your brand. And those were the top 3 factors that really correlate strongly with that visibility. And all of these are really built on trust, which is at the heart of EE80. We're also saying as an industry that brand is one of the biggest factors for appearing in AI search. So it's something we're really telling clients to prioritize at the moment. And this is in addition to all of the other benefits that we talked about earlier. So that improved sentiment and trust, increasing conversion rate, future proofing from future algorithm updates, exposure and opportunities for your in-house experts, which I'll go into a little bit more shortly, and also the referral traffic that you'll get from those off-page trust signals and links as well. So how do we do it? I've got a couple of tips coming up that are going to really showcase how we at Digitaloft showcase that expertise and get it from the right sources, package it up in a way that is really going to position your brand as an expert. And tip number 1 is to make your internal experts celebrities. Now, I don't know if you spend as much time monitoring the press as I do, as our digital PR team do, but have you ever noticed how much the press love to quote an expert? So this is some examples of digital PR coverage that we have got for our travel clients. So they're all headlines like "The world's most beautiful beaches, according to travel experts." And travel experts reveal the secret to getting a free first class upgrade. I'm still waiting for my free first class upgrade, but here we are. Maybe it will be when I go to Lanzarote. And this expertise is always coming from travel companies and their PR teams, specifically their digital PR teams a lot of the time as well. And this is the key really to landing these off-page trust signals, is to showcase your internal experts. Now, when we speak to journalists a lot of the time, they say if you don't have a specific person to link this expertise to, we might not cover your brand. We might not link back to your website. But if you've got a verified person in your company who is a real expert, perhaps if we're talking about a specific destination that lives there, that works there as well, or if you're talking about an industry, someone who has worked in the industry for a long time and has that expertise, they're a lot more likely to feature your brand and cover your stories as well. And so this could be a founder, it could be on the ground experts, like I said, or it could just be your product teams. So we work with a company called Bounce who do luggage storage across the world. And we get this coverage in places like the New York Post about the US airports with the longest wait times. And every time we get this coverage, it's attributed back to someone from the Bounce team. So for example, we often reference their CEO and add his real expert insights. And that's unique insights that you're not going to get from ChatGPT or from someone who really doesn't know what they're talking about. And these are the same people that we attribute our on-site content to. So if we're writing blogs on particular topics, we make sure it's attributed to the same people that are getting spoken about in the press, really building that whole entity around the person who is the expert. And before long, press will start coming to your experts for comments. They'll say, hey, I know you provided this real expertise. It was really, really helpful for my article last time. Perhaps we could have a comment on this. And you build that person's profile both to Google and the public as well. And then if there's a story behind the brand, people really buy into that mission as well. The second tip is a personal bugbear of mine, and that is do not even think about putting stock images on your websites. I talked earlier about the helpful content update, and while there was a lot of nuance to who got hit and why, there were many things that a lot of the websites had in common. And as I said before, a lot of the sites had generic content, generic advice that could have been very easily generated by AI. And that included not just sort of the written content, but the imagery as well. They had a lot of stock images. Now, stock images provide no value. They probably leave users with more questions than answers. If I was looking to book somewhere and there was an image that was very clearly a stock image or even AI generated, I would immediately be distrustful. I would wonder why that business doesn't have images of the locations that they serve. So instead, use images as an opportunity to show your experience and expertise every single step of the way. So I like to say to think of EEAT like your reputation, and having low quality images is going to damage your reputation as well. If you're a physical sort of bricks and mortar store, you wouldn't have stock images on the walls, so do not have them on your website. The third tip is aligning on and off page signals as well. So remember a while back, I mentioned the 3 layers of demonstrating expertise. So that's both on and off page signals. So true expertise can't really exist unless it's demonstrated across each of these 3 areas. So within your content, to your specific audience, authors, and as your brand as a whole. And this means both on and off your website. So you need to make sure that you're building trust signals both on page and off page as well. So if we're talking about on page, that might be really high quality content that's unique, it's well researched, and that's got quotes from your internal experts. It might have insights based on personal expertise. So if you're writing about the best restaurants in Saint-Tropez, has the author ever been there? Has the author been to these restaurants? Do they have personal anecdotes that they can share? Where you've got blog authors, you might want to consider having bios for those authors, so on separate pages, and about us pages as well. And on-page trust signals will also extend to things like UX and technical SEO, making sure that you have a website that really, really works. And then when we consider off-page signals, that's going to look at things like mentions of your brand from other websites, backlinks from other websites that showcase that expertise, perhaps listings on directories or review sites, and other things like Google business profiles as well. My fourth tip is to bring in expertise from all areas of your business. And one thing that I can say is you're probably already underestimating the expertise on your team. And it's not just when it comes to travel in the sense of sort of that on the ground expertise. Your team are a direct link to your customer. So have a think about your customer service team, your socials team, guest experience, if you do have people on the ground as well. This is all expertise that your website really, really needs and that Google rewards. So as an example, at Digitaloft, every single quarter, we will get in touch with our clients' customer service teams and get a list of perhaps 20 of the most commonly asked questions from customers. So whether it's a company where customers will ring a phone line or social media teams as well, we will go through each of those questions and make sure that the content on the website answers these questions. Whether it is on the homepage, a specific blog, whether it's an FAQ section, anywhere like that. And these kind of conversational queries, so they're not going to be picked up perhaps by traditional keyword research, but these kind of conversational queries are also really likely to be typed into ChatGPT. So it's going to help you show up there as well. And then my fifth and final tip is to be part of your customer's journey. We said before that it's a real long and fragmented journey in the travel world, particularly when it comes to organic search as well. So for example, someone searching for a holiday in Florida might Google perhaps all of these 10 questions in order. They may begin with a real generic search of where to go on holiday in April, and they may then end up with looking for the best restaurants on International Drive. And your job as a brand and as a website is to provide your users with content that meets that intent and guides them onto the next phase of their journey. You need to meet the intent of their user, whatever phase of that journey they are at. And this depth of knowledge is really going to build trust in your brand and keeps them coming back. Like, have a think about some of the best travel experiences that you've had. I don't know if you've ever been to a hotel that's had a really, really good concierge. So someone that knows the local area inside out, can provide restaurant recommendations, and then perhaps a bar that matches the same kind of vibe to go afterwards and says, oh, actually, don't use that taxi rank. I recommend using this one. Those are the best people to trust. They instantly kind of build that rapport, makes you trust every single one of their recommendations immediately. I think we've all had a similar kind of experience when traveling. But that's what you're trying to do with your website. And one of the biggest questions I get asked with EEAT is, how do you know you're getting it right? And it's unfortunate because there is no single EEAT metric, which is very annoying. But what you can do is audit the EEAT, and you can also speak to your customers. One of my favorite travel clients to work on has a survey at the end of their booking process that says, how did you hear about us? Why did you choose to book with us over Airbnb, for example? And you get some real insights there as well. On the Digitaloft website, we have a free EEAT audit template, which you can use, and you can use it as a benchmark to say, okay, we used to be here and now we are here. But otherwise, EEAT is just going to be one part of your wider digital strategy. And so you measure the impact of the collective strategy. So before I finish up, let's just have a quick little recap. So like I said at the beginning, there's a secret weapon that most travel marketers are ignoring. And as I said, it is free to use, and most of us have tons of it already. And that is your internal expertise. So what you need to be doing, and what I'd love you to do following this talk, is to really think about who the experts in your business are. Is it perhaps your founder? Do you have some real amazing tour guides on the ground? How can you showcase that? Is it going to be through author profiles and written content on your website? Might you do some PR work with these people and get them contributing to different kinds of press publications or journals? Is every single one of your EEAT signals across the content, the author, and the brand levels, are they all aligned as well? Amazing. Thank you very, very much for joining me. I'd love to connect. I'd love to chat any more about travel SEO. If you want to head to the Digitaloft website, there is the EEAT audit template. Otherwise, you are free to connect with me on X or on LinkedIn, and I would love to chat with as many of you as possible.
Thank you so much, Liv. That was a super, super insightful session. Somebody had asked something earlier, but I think that you've answered it. But I also think I should just bring it up again. So they had said that I think they're like a team of three. How can they like train their in-house experts? Because while these people have the knowledge, they don't have like they're not familiar with tech and all of that. They're experts, I mean.
Mm-hmm. I think it is definitely more of a challenge when you've got a smaller team. I think if you are a team of three, you might also not have the resources to say, well, we're going to put loads of effort into writing blog content and make sure that the author profiles are up to scratch, and we're going to do PR as well. I think if you are a successful business in the travel industry, you're going to have some areas of expertise, whether it is that on the ground knowledge of like the best restaurants, things like that, or you position yourself as real experts just in the industry as a whole. So knowing what works in the travel industry, having the insights, perhaps if you've got a founder, the insights that come from running a business there, I think are also really, really beneficial to talk about too.
Thank you so much, Liv. Thank you so much, everyone. The next session starts in like 4 minutes. I look forward to speaking soon. Bye.